Hey everyone, my name is Kyle. I am the leader of an organization called the Four Pillars Temple. And I'm coming to you today because I wanted to talk a little bit about um, something that I feel like doesn't get talked a lot about. And I also wanted to share a little bit of my personal opinion and beliefs about some things that are going on. So, for some of you that have been following along, there are some difficult things that are going on right now in my faith tradition, the tradition that I and my organization belong to. And it's become very troubling for a lot of us, especially for me. And so I wanted to make this video, I guess, as a way to kind of process through and to maybe find some ways to reground myself. Um, for a long time, I've always wanted to belong to a faith tradition, and I always envisioned myself belonging to um, a group of Wiccans where we could come together and celebrate and honor um, our divine together and bolster and embolden each other's faith. And in my local community, we didn't have that. And so I had hopes that I would start something like that for myself. And so many years back, I got involved with the Karelian nativist tradition and I started to practice with them and learn with them. I worked my way up through the degrees and became a third degree high priest. And with the support of the tradition and with the support of the tradition's structure, I was able to um, have the strength and the courage and the confidence to create my own group, in our area. And so I've done that, and due to recent um, excuse me again, due to recent concerns in the organization with leadership and with some other um, infighting and things of that nature, it's really brought a lot to head for me about what it means to be a leader, what it means to be um, Wiccan, what it means to be someone who practices my faith, and also someone in my community who's worked so hard to develop an organization with an affiliation to this tradition. And so it's brought up a lot for me. And in the midst of all of this, excuse me again, I apologize. In the midst of all of this, it's caused me to really consider and reconsider what it means for me to be a Wiccan and what it means for me to belong to an organization. And I really would, I really hate to say this because I think a lot of people get turned off by even small organizations like covens, for example, and they would rather just practice by themselves. And for me, I've always wanted to belong to a group and to provide service to a group and to be a viable and constructive member of a community. And so that's why I formed the Four Pillars Temple, to do that for people and to be able to be a source of um, knowledge and a source of support for other people because I didn't have that when I was learning and growing. Um, and so as these things are happening, kind of questioning for me what all of this means and what it matters for, and questioning whether or not like I've wasted the last 14 years of my life building an organization that's potentially falling apart around my ears. And so all of that has, of course, brought up a lot of feelings for me and has brought up a lot of struggles for me right now. I in no way intend to leave the tradition. I in no way intend to um, unaffiliate myself with them or have my temple unaffiliate with them at this time. Um, but certainly the fear of it and the scare um, of things as they've come up is really, again, caused me to think about this. And so something that someone had said really rung true to me, which is the reason why I wanted to make this video today and talk a little bit about the principles of Wiccan belief. Now, you may or may not know of this document. It is entitled The Principles of Wiccan Belief, or the 13 Principles of Wiccan Belief. This document was actually created back in the 70s, in 1974, and it was created by a group of called the Council of American Witches, and it was an organization built up of different individuals that identified as Wiccan and or practitioners of New Age metaphysics, things like that. And there were about 70 of them. And one of the presidents, the president of that organization was Carl Llewellyn. You may recognize the name because Llewellyn is also the publishing company that publishes a lot of books on New Age philosophy, metaphysics, things of that nature. And so he was the one who kind of started this organization. And the whole purpose of having the Council of American Witches was to sit down and really codify what it is that we believe as Wiccans and what it is that it takes or what it means to be a Wiccan in America. Now, obviously, this was created at a time when things were still very new. This was created at a time when, we were moving into things like the Satanic Panic in the 80s. And so it was an opportunity for people to really codify what it meant and how we can kind of identify ourselves. So often in history, the excuse me. So often in history, the marginalized individuals are categorized, marginalized, and identified and defined by the majority culture. And so, not often do we have an opportunity to share our opinion of what it is that we believe and how we want to represent ourselves as people. And so now in the 2023, we're getting to the point where individual marginalized groups, whether it's religious focused or not, has an opportunity for they to identify themselves. And so this was an opportunity even back then for individuals who practiced this faith to identify themselves. So this you can find this article online regarding any of this information to really help you to understand better the context of this. But I want to read to you the 13 principles of Wiccan belief, and I think some of them will be very salient, especially to those members of my faith tradition that are watching this video today. 13 principles of Wiccan belief. Number 1, we practice rites to attune ourselves with the natural rhythm of life forces marked by the phases of the moon and the seasonal quarters and cross quarters. Number 2, we recognize that our intelligence gives us a unique responsibility toward our environment. We seek to live in harmony with nature, in ecological balance, offering fulfillment to life and consciousness within an evolutionary concept. Number 3, we acknowledge a depth of power far greater than that apparent to the average person. Because it is far greater than ordinary, it is sometimes called supernatural, but we see it as lying within that which is naturally potential for all people. Number 4, we conceive of the creative power in the universe as manifesting through polarity, as masculine and feminine, and that this same creative power lies in all people and functions through the interaction of the masculine and the feminine. We value neither above the other, knowing each to be supportive to the other. We value sex as pleasure, as the symbol and embodiment of life, and as one source of energy used in magical practice and religious worship. Number 5, we recognize both outer worlds and inner worlds. Our psychological world, sometimes known as the spiritual world, the collective unconscious, inner planes, etc. And we see in the interaction of these two dimensions the basis of paranormal phenomena and magical exercises. We neglect neither dimension for the other, seeing both as necessary for our own fulfillment. Number 6, we do not recognize any authoritarian hierarchy, but do honor those who teach, respect those who share their greater knowledge and wisdom, and acknowledge those who have courageously given of themselves in leadership. Number 7, we see religion, magic, and the wisdom in living as being united in the way one views the world and within it, a worldview and philosophy of life which we identify as witchcraft, the Wiccan way. Number 8, calling oneself a witch does not make a witch, but neither does heredity itself, nor the collection of titles, degrees, and initiations. A witch seeks to control the forces within her or himself that make life possible in order to live wisely and without harm to others and in harmony with nature. Number 9, we believe in the affirmation and fulfillment of life and a continuation of evolution and development of consciousness, giving meaning to the universe we know and our personal role within it. Number 10, our only animosity toward Christianity or toward any other religion or philosophy of life is to the extent that its institutions have claimed to be the only way and have sought to deny freedom to others and to suppress other ways of religious practice and belief. Number 11, as American witches, we are not threatened by debates on the history of the craft, the origin of various terms, the legitimacy of various aspects of different traditions. We are concerned with our present and our future. Number 12, we do not accept the concept of absolute evil, nor do we worship an entity called Satan or the devil, as defined by the Christian traditions. We do not seek power through the suffering of others, nor accept the personal benefit we can be derived only by denial to another. And finally, number 13, we believe that we should seek within nature that which is contributory to our health and well-being. And so, especially in times of hardship or when there is turmoil or strife amongst people or within organizations, I think it's really important to go back to that and to remind myself of the importance of bringing my awareness, my insight, and grounding myself in those realities that are expressed. And maybe those have changed. That article is not any sort of um, authority on Wicca in general. But at that time, that was a snapshot of what people believed Wicca and witchcraft to be. And I still think that holds very true today. And I think that ultimately, at the end of the day, the most important thing is how do we continue to relate and have a connection with the divine and what that means to each person and what that means to us. And I will also say that I'm having a little bit of an identity crisis because for so long I have identified myself in a certain way, in a certain role. And I think in a lot of ways we all go through things like that. When we retire from our jobs and we move into a life of retirement, well, I'm no longer a doctor or a lawyer, right? Those were roles I played. That wasn't who I really was. And so this is a difficult time for me, and I'm sure for many of us, to recognize and to acknowledge that our roles may be changing in our lives and in the lives of other people. But at the end of the day, our faith dictates that the most important thing is our relationship with the divine. And I feel in my own personal life and in my own personal practice that I have focused more energy and more of my efforts on a relationship to an organization and to a relationship to my role in an organization than I have in maintaining my relationship with the divine. And that I completely accept as my responsibility and my doing. And being reminded of these 13 principles of Wiccan belief has given me an opportunity to really process what it all means to me and how I can go forward, whether it be in service of this organization, whether it be in service of this tradition or not, how I can go forward in service and continue to focus on my relationship and what it means to me to be a Wiccan first and a person of service or a clergy person second. Um, So I hope some of that information is helpful to someone. Um, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to kind of process my own feelings in this matter. Um, until next time, signing off for now.